Ty Simpson is already here and he's in action. And it's going to be scary for both the competitors and the Bama QB competition. DeBoer has already praised Ty Simpson. Will he be Bama's QB of choice? Subscribe to the channel before the news. The quarterback competition at Alabama will be one of the most debated topics of the offseason, but the truth is that no one should be surprised if Ty Simpson ends up being Kalen DeBoer's choice. Despite the uncertainty and lack of experience as a starter, Simpson is a highly qualified talent, a former five-star recruit who has remained committed to the program even in the face of changes in leadership and the era of transfers in college football. DeBoer didn't mince words when he praised Simpson during the Senior Bowl. The new Crimson Tide coach made it clear that he appreciates the quarterback's dedication to the program and recognizes the work he has done behind the scenes. "Keep working on what he can control, and that's himself," DeBoer said. That kind of comment isn't just polite. It indicates that Simpson is being taken seriously within the competition and that if he continues to demonstrate leadership and growth, the starting job could be his. Since arriving at Alabama in the 2022 class, Simpson has had to be patient. He spent 2 seasons as a backup, watching and learning as Jalen Milroe took over the offense in 2023. But now, with Milroe out, the stage is set for Simpson to finally prove he's ready to take the reins of the offense. And contrary to what many might expect, he hasn't sought a fresh start via the transfer portal. That says a lot about his mindset and his belief that he can be the guy in Tuscaloosa. Simpson's career numbers are still limited: 381 passing yards, 58% completion percentage and 3 rushing touchdowns, but the potential is there. He has the arm, mobility and intelligence to run an efficient offense. The big question is how he fits into DeBoer's system, which has historically favored quarterbacks who can process the game quickly and distribute the ball accurately. Of course, the competition will be intense. Simpson will have to overcome the likes of Austin Mack and Keelan Russell, 2 young quarterbacks who also bring raw talent and development potential. But experience, even if limited, could be a plus for Simpson. He already knows the environment, understands the pressure of wearing a Crimson Tide jersey and has been through the process of adapting to the college football level. That matters, especially when the margin for error at Alabama is slim. If there was ever a time for Simpson to prove he can be the guy, it's now. The spring game on April 12th will be the first glimpse of how he fits into DeBoer's offense and whether he can build a lead in the starting battle. But at this point, it would be hard to ignore the signs. Simpson has the profile, he has the coach's respect and he has the opportunity. The question isn't whether he can win the race, it's whether he can hold down the position when the season starts. And from what we've seen so far, it wouldn't be a surprise if he's Alabama's starting quarterback in 2025. And finally, I want to hear your thoughts on whether he'll be drafted. Do you have any thoughts? If there was any doubt about Kalen DeBoer's impact on Alabama's recruiting, the arrival of Michael Carroll eliminates any uncertainty. At a time of transition for the Crimson Tide, when many predicted a possible drop in recruiting class, DeBoer and his staff have secured yet another elite class, and Carroll is one of the standouts of that group. Now ranked as the 11th best player in the country and a 5-star prospect, Carroll represents exactly the kind of reinforcement Alabama needs to continue dominating in the trenches. The offensive lineman is not only a physical giant, but a technical talent who already projects himself as a key part of the Tide's offensive line for the foreseeable future. His decision to commit to Alabama was about development, and he made it clear it wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment choice. "I'm trying to develop myself and be an NFL football player," Carroll said. And if the ultimate goal is the professional league, few schools offer a better structure than Alabama. The comparison to Landon Dickerson, the former Crimson Tide offensive star who is now a key player for the Philadelphia Eagles, is not a stretch. Carroll is a physical blocker who is dominant in the run game and brutally efficient when he steps up to the second level. His time at IMG Academy helped shape the profile, pitting him against the best competition in high school football. And now, the transition to the SEC will be another step on the ladder to the NFL. What makes Carroll even more valuable to Alabama is his aggressive mindset. He's not just a technical player, he plays with controlled viciousness, seeking contact and finishing blocks with intensity. That kind of poise is what separates a good offensive lineman from a future All-American. And in the offensive scheme that DeBoer is implementing, which requires a versatile and physically dominant offensive line, Carroll could fit right in. Alabama is in the midst of an overhaul of its offensive line, and Carroll arrives at the ideal time. The competition for a starting spot will be fierce, but if there's one prospect ready for the challenge, it's him. The technical foundation, the physicality and the mentality are all in place. The rest will be shaped in Tuscaloosa. Looking ahead, Carroll's presence confirms Alabama's commitment to continuing to recruit elite offensive linemen. Even in a period of transition, the Crimson Tide still attracts the best in the country, ensuring that the program's foundation remains unshaken. If anyone thought Alabama might take a step back after Nick Saban's departure, Michael Carroll and this recruiting class make it clear, Alabama isn't going anywhere. Let's keep moving forward. The tight end position in Alabama is about to undergo a revolution, and no one understands that better than C.J. Dippre. After 2 seasons as a key part of the Crimson Tide's physical, blocking-oriented scheme, Dippre is now preparing to take the next step toward the NFL. But as he leaves a warning: the role of the tight end in Tuscaloosa is changing, and fast. In recent years, Alabama has used its tight ends primarily as extensions of the offensive line, deploying Dippre and Robbie Yates to space the ground and hold down the edge against the SEC's elite pass rushers. That approach has worked, but in 2025, the Tide could turn toward a more pass-oriented offense. With a new head coach and a shift in offensive philosophy, the Crimson Tide's tight ends could go from being luxury blockers to true aerial weapons. And the change couldn't come at a better time. As Dippre pointed out at the 2025 Senior Bowl, the tight end position is evolving, both in the NFL and in college football. Creative use of tight ends has been a growing trend, with NFL teams using tight ends on short plays, such as quarterback sneaks, and expanding their roles in the passing game. And if Alabama has a history of following, or even setting, trends, there's no reason to believe that this evolution won't come to fruition. The Crimson Tide's new group of tight ends has the potential to bring about this transformation. Josh Cuevas, a recent arrival from Washington and Cal Poly, has already demonstrated his ability as a receiver, putting up impressive numbers in the FCS. Danny Lewis Jr., a redshirt freshman, has the versatility to line up as a traditional tight end or in more dynamic roles. The transition to a more spread offense could put these players in better positions to shine in the passing game. For Alabama's quarterbacks, whether it's Ty Simpson, Austin Mack or Kalen Russell, this new approach could be crucial. Having more active tight ends as targets can provide an essential safety valve, especially for quarterbacks still gaining experience. In the SEC landscape, where aggressive defenses constantly test quarterbacks, having reliable tight ends in the passing game can be the difference between a successful campaign and a disappointment. But there's one requirement that remains the same regardless of the scheme change: versatility. Dippre learned that quickly at Alabama, and he stresses that the Crimson Tide's tight ends need to be prepared to do it all. "You have to be willing to do it all," he said, summing up what it means to play the position in Tuscaloosa. Blocking, running routes, playing in the backfield, whatever the need, Alabama's tight ends will need to respond. The transition won't be instantaneous, and the identity of Kalen DeBoer's offense is still developing. But one thing is already clear: the Alabama of 2025 could be a very different team offensively. And if this change happens the right way, what was once a complementary piece could become one of the difference makers on offense. Dippre may be on his way out, but the impact of this evolution in the tight end role could be felt for a long time in Tuscaloosa. Let's move on. Alabama just added a key piece to its defense in 2025, and the impact goes far beyond the stats. Cameron Calhoun, a cornerback who previously played for Michigan and Utah, comes to Tuscaloosa with the exact mindset that defines the Crimson Tide: maximum intensity, infectious energy, and an obsession with winning. Anyone who spent time with him in Utah knows that. And anyone who follows Alabama knows that this is the kind of player who makes a difference in a program that is already synonymous with excellence. Former Utah defensive tackle Junior Talfuna gave a testimonial that speaks volumes about who Calhoun is. "We're not just talking about a skilled defender, but a relentless competitor. He'll sit in the locker room after lifting weights and be like, 'Man, I'm ready to practice.' It's 9 in the morning and he wants to be on the field," Talfuna said. "That kind of mentality can't be taught. It's something a player brings with him, and it's exactly what Alabama needs as the Kalen DeBoer era begins. But that energy isn't just talk. Calhoun has proven on the field that he can be a difference maker. In his season at Utah, he recorded 21 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss and 9 pass defenses, an impressive number for a player who played fewer than 400 snaps. The best example of his ability came against Utah State, when he intercepted a pass and returned it for 34 yards. It was a play that showcased everything he has to offer: speed, reading the game, and athleticism to attack the ball at the highest point. In a defensive scheme like Alabama's, which demands excellence from its cornerbacks, that kind of skill can be crucial. And while Calhoun has already shown that he can be a playmaker on the field, his presence off it is just as valuable. Former Utah linebacker Kareem Reed described the cornerback as someone who brings a lot of passion and energy both in the locker room and on the field. In the world of college football, where a team's culture can define a season, the arrival of a player with that mindset is invaluable. Alabama doesn't just need talent. It needs players who can handle the pressure, who know what it means to wear a Crimson Tide uniform. And Calhoun is undoubtedly one of those guys. The cornerback's connection with Alabama general manager Courtney Morgan can't be ignored either. They met at Michigan, and that connection may have been a factor in Calhoun's decision to head to Tuscaloosa. But regardless of the path he's taken to get here, the reality is that he arrives with 3 seasons of eligibility remaining and the opportunity to thrive within the best program in college football. What's interesting is that, even with stints at 3 different programs, expectations for Calhoun have only grown. And there's a reason for that. He's not just another talented player looking for a new home. He is an athlete who has shown flashes of greatness, and now he will have the chance to maximize his potential playing in the best conference in the country. The SEC tests the best, and those who pass the test are ready for the NFL. As Reed said, if he can do what he does at this level, he'll be here for sure. Calhoun's arrival is part of a larger effort to restructure Alabama's defense under DeBoer. Along with him, reinforcements such as linebacker Nick Hill-Green, formerly of Colorado, and defensive lineman Kelby Collins, formerly of Florida, have arrived. These are pieces that show the Crimson Tide's commitment to maintaining a dominant defense, even after the transition from Nick Saban. The message has been made. Alabama is not in a rebuilding year. It is in a year of reaffirmation. With a cornerback like Cameron Calhoun on the roster, the Crimson Tide defense gains a fierce competitor, an energetic leader, and, possibly, a future NFL star. Anyone who doubts that should watch his film. As Talfuna put it, it's crazy to watch him play. In Tuscaloosa, that craziness can turn into a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. I want to hear your thoughts.